Hello, so yesterday I uploaded a video where I moved all the code from the app component for 3JS into a service. Now, the next step would be to sort of break these down into pieces so that, like any developers or even myself in the future, I don't have to try to understand everything going on at one time. I can break it down. I try to do that, like, because the way to do that would be to create methods and class variables, but it takes a long time. It takes too long for the video to do all of that. So the first step I'm going to do now is just create class variables. And then tomorrow I'll probably do one on creating um, methods, break it out into methods. So the first step would be to take this line here that has the width and the height and turn it into two lines, const. Okay, and so now I want to create a width that is a class variable. So width, and that's equal to 0. I'm going to set it to 0 to start, initialize it to 0, but then the minute the run3s function gets called, it'll get set properly, and then I will change this to this dot width, and then change this guy to this dot height. So what happens is these two get set at this point. Now when we hit save, things will break it in. The handy dandy transpiler will tell us that on line 23, I wonder if I click this, if it takes me there. Nope, that would be nice. That I have a problem on this line here, and sure enough, this dot width and this dot height. And then, let's see, we'll hit save again, and we have a problem on 35. And here we go, this dot width and this dot height. And there we go, and we're back in business. Okay, so I don't think we need this init comment. I don't believe it adds any value, so I'm going to tab that correctly, and we are going to create a a perspective camera that is on the as a state variable instead, as a class variable instead of like that. And I don't know if you remember, but yesterday or the last few days when we created a perspective camera, you can call it with nothing, with no arguments. And if you do that, you get defaults. So we hit this, let's save. Oop. Let's save, and that's fine. Nothing changed because we didn't change anything down here. Now I'm going to say this dot camera, and we no longer have to strongly type it, so I'll remove that. And now we reset it on this line, and then here, let me get rid of this because that's not adding any value. And now I'm going to say this dot camera position is equal to 5. Hit save. Okay, it's upset about line 45, so there we go. And that's broken because this function, the way this is sort of the old-fashioned JavaScript. In an old-fashioned JavaScript, uh, variables don't, whenever you run this function keyword, a new a new context is created, so that this is no longer, doesn't mean anything. So what we have to do is turn it into a fat arrow function so that it maintains its context, but then we also need to assign it to a variable so that const, we're going to say that it's equal to that. So now we have an animation, but it's not declared to 35. Fun fact, I once actually missed that as a question at an interview, but I got the job anyways. Um, so I'm going to move this up to the top up here so that the variable exists because it is not hoisted. JavaScript developers, we JavaScript developers love to say the word hoist. It doesn't get hoisted, so we have to manually hoist it, and that means bring it to the top. If when it was a function, it got brought to the top, that's why it wasn't necessary. And that process of bringing it to the top is called hoisting. And boom, now this is a thing in our function. All right, so next is a scene. So this line creates a new scene and it uses all defaults. So I'm going to just move that up here. And get rid of that. So now we have our scene, but this guy is no longer a thing. So this dot scene, and boom, that since we already moved it, turned it into a fat arrow function, it's good. And oh, here we go, 39 of this dot scene, and we're back. Now I'm actually very curious if we remove this line of code here, it redraws, and it's fine, but the the box looks different. And actually, I think it looks more right now because we haven't messed with perspective. But let's go ahead and put it back, or maybe it looks wrong. I don't know, but there we go. Actually, I think that looks more right. So now we're back. Okay, so now we are going to want to create a geometry and a material. And I actually don't think we want to create those as class. I think in the future we're going to want to move those into, we're going to want to move these and create new ones in every function. So I'm just going to take the mesh and I'm going to turn this into I'm going to turn that into a class variable. So I'm going to say mesh is equal to, but see, we don't want to create it at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an array of meshes as class variables. So I'm going to do this. And this is nice. I'm just going to say this is an array and that it's empty to start. And then, and I'm going to call it meshes, plural. And so I'm going to add my mesh to, let's say, this dot meshes dot push, and I'm going to say push by mesh in there. So now that's the very first one, and then I'm going to say add mesh 0. I'm going to say go ahead, and I'm going to add a this in the front there, and it's meshes, and that's cool. And we're back into business, but I think in our renderer, yeah, it's still using meshes. So I'm going to just say do a for loop over meshes. This dot meshes, and I'm going to go like this, message dot for each, and I'm going to pass it a function, and I'm going to say that that is a mesh, and I'm going to go ahead and move this code into there. And so all of the meshes inside of our meshes array will be good. And now, so that's good. I feel really good about that. Like I said, all of this will go into its own function so that we get a new geometry and new material every time we call it. So renderer looks like that. There's no reason for that to be in this code. So let's go ahead and go like that. This dot renderer, and then change this to, and we can just get rid of this altogether, and then change this to this dot renderer, this dot renderer, and this dot renderer. Boom. Uh-oh. Line 29. Oh, there's another one. This dot renderer. And we're back. All right, so this is cool. It seems like adding this to there is a good idea in a function called run3js. And I feel pretty good about this. Like I said, next time what we will do is we will go ahead and add all of this, or we'll break these into smaller methods. It's pretty nice already, but it would be better if we moved all of this function into their own little areas. And that's it. Happy coding. Bye.